Hello and welcome to the Peilcast podcast with myself, David Carabini. Support for this week's Peilcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you use the code PELCAST20. That's PELCAST20, PEILCAST20, PELCAST20 at manscaped.com. If my maths is correct, that's about 8 million balls, give or take. Have you ever had a nick downstairs when you're having a nice groom? It's not very good, is it? It hurts. It's quite painful. For me personally, it's happened many times. But not anymore. Not since I invested in Manscaped. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag that holds your goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. Their fourth generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 400K LED spotlight. You need this for a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor. You thought that was good? The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. Their Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball toner will change the way you approach your hygiene routine. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed travel bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code PELCAST20. That's PELCAST20, PEILCAST20. And trust me when I say this, your balls will thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Peilcast podcast with myself, David Carabini, Bill Gain and Jack McArdle. This week we have a very special guest, an Irish international who's played over 450 career club games, scoring over 100 goals. Former Celtic, CSK Sofia, Apoel Nicosia and Wellington striker Cillian Sheridan. Cillian, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for that intro. That's one of the better ones I've had.
No, look, it's great to have you on. Obviously, you've had a fair few clubs now, similar enough to me at the amateur level. Now you've certainly seen the world from all sorts. Like I think you were one of the first players I've ever heard of going to a Bulgarian side. Like, and you were at CSK Sofia, I think, early on in your career. But first of all, like obviously as a young Irishman, you're from Cavan. What was it like getting the call to go join Celtic? You think how old you were? 16 at the time, were you?
I'm trying to think. I think I might have been 17.
Okay.
When I went over on trial, I think around Easter time. Or no, sorry, I signed around Easter, so I would have went over on trial just before then. And yeah, I'd been to maybe 3 or 4 clubs on trial before that, and never didn't get offered anything. And then Celtic, obviously, I've had a decent enough trial, and they offered me something. So, it was nice. It was kind of nice to have that done before I managed to do my leaving cert, but I'd signed for Celtic before I'd done the exams and that. So it was kind of that was kind of sacked off a little bit.
Ah, sure. Look, that's I mean,
that's my excuse anyway.
But like you were in the Belvedere Academy, wasn't it? You're from is it Ballyborough in Cavan?
Yeah. So Ballyborough in County Cavan. And then I went up to Belvedere from under 14s. I'm sure it was 3 years I was there. Yeah, and then that was kind of, they gave me a platform to play in the Dublin League, where a lot of scouts were coming over to watch games. So kind of it started before that, when I went to an FAI summer camp, and Sean McCaffrey was running that region, would have been the Cavan, Monaghan, that region anyway. I can't remember what kind of umbrella that came under, but he saw me at one of those camps and was like, you should go to Ireland trials. This was when I was maybe 14. And I went up to one and just turned up, and they were like, where do you play? And I just put down left back, because I figured it would be the easiest position to play in a trial match. And then afterwards they kind of said, look, you need to go and kind of get some, I think they were saying you need to go and get some structure to your game, like go up to a team in Dublin. And then that's when Belvedere took me on. And that kind of helped me, gave me the platform to then go and play at Belvedere, and then to also be included in the underage national squads, which helped me get trials as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Belvedere is obviously, they've given some of the better players in Irish history. Wes Houlihan is obviously the big name that sticks out. Like, who would have been in your Belvedere team back then that would have been kind of big names back then and throughout their career?
Back then, our Belvedere team was unreal. We had lads coming in from all over Ireland. At the time, I'm trying to think, probably the highest rated players at the time were Paul Cahalane and Gary Breen, I would say, on our team. Gary went to Man City, Paul went to Celtic. But from the actual team, like a few lads would have went on and played some League of Ireland and that. But as far as I'm aware, I'm the only one who went and kind of is still playing as a career.
All right, that's interesting, considering you say it was an unreal team. Like,
so and it was actually, I was later than a lot of them. A lot of them all went over when they were 16 to the UK, whereas I didn't have any offers or I wasn't even going on trials. And then it wasn't until my last year at Belvedere, when kind of everyone else had moved over to the UK, and then I was still in Ireland squads. It would have been the under 17s. I was in the Ireland under 17 squads while playing at Belvedere. So I think clubs were just kind of looking at that and being like, oh, well, he must have something, and he's not attached to any club, so we'll give him a chance, give him a trial.
Yeah, so again, as we mentioned earlier, like, you went over to Celtic in 2006, a couple of loan spells at St. Johnstone, and was it Motherwell as well?
Yeah, so Motherwell was the first one.
Yeah.
Then I came back, went to Plymouth for 6 months, then up to St. Johnstone. Yeah,
and then after that, then it was CSKA Sofia. So, like, how does a move like that come across? Like, you must have been one of the first Irish to end up over in Bulgaria, were you?
I think so. I'm presuming so.
No, I presume so as well. But it's just it's a strange move for an Irish international to move over to CSKA Sofia, like.
Yeah, I think I remember at the time talking about it, and Celtic. I remember going into that summer thinking, I don't want to go out on loan again, because that would have been Motherwell, Plymouth, St. Johnstone, and I just didn't want to go out on loan again. So I was saying, look, I'll either stay at Celtic for the year, or if I can get a transfer somewhere. And then I probably wasn't expecting to get a transfer to Bulgaria, but they came in with the offer, and it was a very good contract they were offering. So kind of a mixture of all those things together, where I was like, right, I may as well, I'll go and give it a go. what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, and you went over there in 2010, but that was actually just off the back of your Irish college, wasn't it? I think you came into the squad for.
Yeah. So that summer I went back to Celtic as an international, but I wasn't involved with I think Neil Lennon had just taken over.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in his plans at all, really. So that didn't really make much of an impact for my chances at Celtic.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, the Ireland call up in 2010. You played 3 games: Paraguay, Algeria, and Argentina, which was actually the first game of the Aviva. What is that like? I mean, for myself, like, and for the other 2 lads, I'm sure we're all fascinated the prospect of playing for Ireland. But what's it like walking out in front of the sellout Aviva Stadium for the first ever game? Like, no one will ever start in the first ever game of
Yeah.
in a new ground like that.
The Argentina one was much better because although the Paraguay was the first one, huh?
Yeah, you came on for Robbie Keane on 56
I
minutes.
always mix the Paraguay and Algeria one up. The Paraguay, because those games were in the RDS, it didn't really. I know they were still internationals, but they didn't really feel like coming on for Ireland here. Whereas, like you're saying there, like in the Aviva, it's first home game. It's Argentina. It was everything. That one fit. That one, although it wasn't my actual debut, it felt like, okay, this is playing for Ireland. This is what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely, and like that's sell out Aviva, as I say, like, and that's playing against the likes of Messi, Di Maria. I think Mascherano would have been playing back then, and
I remember Mascherano because how good he was. I remember being surprised how good he was.
Yeah, I think, Jack, do you want to come in on that there?
Yeah, it's actually off topic now. Actually, it's just whenever you went over to Bulgaria, was that before Ludogorets were walking and running the league? Was it, or was that
Ludogorets weren't even a team. They'd only formed. I think they'd formed either the year I left Bulgaria or a year before I'd left. But when I first went over, they weren't even in the league. They weren't created or founded or whatever.
All right. Did you win the league then? Yeah.
No, we won the cup. The league we finished. We weren't great. We kind of had a stop start first half and then done all right like second half. But I was out of the team for the second half of the season. Actually, I couldn't tell you where we finished. I just know we won the cup.
Fair enough, yeah.
So then, like, so you left then CSKA. I think you went back to St. Johnstone on loan and then back to CSKA for a couple of games. Like, again, like, was that St. Johnstone just felt more of a homely place to go, or was it the language barrier, or what made you want to come back to go back to Scotland?
At that time it was just a case of getting out of Bulgaria. It just that first season didn't go well at all, and a lot of that was probably down to me as well. Like, I could have done things differently, and then I was just ended up, like, when I was out of the team and stuff, I had the wrong mentality, and then I was just kind of I was just trying to leave. Like, I was counting down the days to the summer, and then that summer, in fact, I went over to Seattle and Portland with a view to going to them on loan, but they wanted to see me first before they'd sign me, and they didn't go very well. I wasn't fit enough at the time, and then that's when I came back, and just during that summertime, then there was the option to go back on loan to St. Johnstone. Well, eventually there was the option to go on loan, but and then, as you were saying there, to come back again after when I went to St. Johnstone for the season, it kind of changed my outlook on how to be like as a professional, how to train and stuff like that. So then when I went back for my third season in Bulgaria, I went back like kind of wanting to show a different side to me, like a different player, to show us that first year wasn't. I didn't give a good account to myself. And then there was just loads of stuff ended up happening, and that's we lost the second round Europa League qualifier to, like, I'm sure they were a Latvian team. So it was a team like that would have been one of those unseeded teams that we should have beaten. We lost, and then the next day they came in and like told 6 or 7 of the players that they just signed that summer that they could all leave. Like, lads came in after signing 2 or 3 year contracts, and then they were just told, "We don't want you. Like, don't come in anymore." And they ended up then after that they ended up getting a transfer ban from a previous transfer window, and they weren't allowed to register any new players until the 1st of September. So all the players that they signed to replace the guys they told to go away couldn't register until the 1st of September. So they had to go back to all the fellas that they told to go away and be like, can you come back and we need players to fill the squad for the first 3 league games. So it was all mad, yeah.
So it just became a bit of a mess then, like, and was that, like, sorry if you don't mind me asking, were you one of those players that they told to leave, or?
No, surprisingly, no.
Okay.
Considering how my first season went, there were it was a different manager who I think he kind of liked me, and then it was just getting, it was like you're saying, it was just becoming a bit of a circus. So I was like, look, I had a meeting with them to cancel my contract, and I was just like, look, just let me leave. And then that's when I joined Kilmarnock then.
Yeah, I mean, Kilmarnock it seemed like a bit of a happier time for you, 10 goals in 29 games across all competitions. And it's just, I mean, 9 and 26 in the league. That was probably one of the years that Kilmarnock would have been, upper mid-table, maybe challenging for European football in Scotland. I think that was around the time Rangers went bust, wasn't it? And so there was nearly like a free hit for all the rest of the league to go for second. Like, so what, like, is that a much more competitive league in Scotland at that stage? So
I was just more happy to just get back to a bit of normality, and get back into Scotland and just kind of get things back on track. And then that season at Kilmarnock, I can't remember if was that the season where Rangers. I can't even remember if Rangers were in the league or not.
I think it was 2012 they went bust, wasn't it? And then they were. So you joined Kilmarnock in 2012, 13. So it would have been the year before that they would have been in it when you were with St. Johnstone.
You're right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. They were down in the the 3rd division.
Yeah, because it's been 10 years this year, isn't it? That's how long it's been.
Yeah. So that was the season we beat Celtic. We beat Celtic at Parkhead for like the first time in I don't know how many years, and that was the kind of that season. A lot of teams were beating Celtic because Celtic didn't need to win every game to win the league.
Yeah.
So it gave teams probably more chances to get results like that, but at the end of the day, they were still miles away from Celtic.
Of course. Bill, do you want to come in there? You're on mute, Bill.
Yeah. I was looking at I suppose your time during at Kilmarnock. The manager at the time was actually Kenny Shields, so he went on to manage Derry City between 2015 and 2018, and now Northern Ireland women since 2019. Yeah. I was wondering what your relationship with Kenny was like, and what was Kenny like as manager?
It was.
Or do you remember?
Different. He thinks differently about the game. He likes to play real attacking football. That was actually one of the things that kind of attracted me to Kilmarnock. I knew they played good football, and I remember meeting with him and Jimmy Nicholl, the assistant, and just the way they were talking about how they wanted to play was was really appealing to me. And that it was a breath of fresh air in Scotland, because it's not something a lot of, maybe a bit more now, but back then there wasn't a lot of managers who would have been that would have wanted to play in that style of play.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
And just another question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to just double back, because I was looking for the opportunity at the start of the interview, but it didn't come. You referenced your time in the Ireland underage setup, I think during Belvedere. Did you?
Yeah.
I was looking you up there, and did you play in the Nordic Cup in 2005? You won it with Ireland, didn't you?
Yeah. Nordic
And
Cup
you
champions.
Yeah, you scored in the final against England.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What was your who were the players around the squad at that time, and who did you play? Who was in the England side? That was just a question I was thinking of.
I have no idea who was in the England side. The
Fair enough.
Ireland
Ireland.
side. I haven't thought about that competition for ages.
There you go.
Who was? I know the fella who scored the second goal. Did we win 2-0?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have it in front of me here.
Tom Lyons
Lyons.
scored. That's
In
all
the
I
8
can.
minutes.
That's all I can
That's fair.
remember.
That's fair enough. It's 18 years, 17 years old at this stage, so.
17 years ago.
Jack, were you born 17 years ago?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Barely.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's 2005. Like it's mad to think how long ago that is, isn't it? Like it's quite a career. Like to be fair, Cillian, and moving on from the time with Kilmarnock. I mean, you moved probably to your most successful period was your 4 years in Cyprus, and I know that's what most people would know you for, is your time with the likes of Apoel and Omonia.
Yeah.
Was because even now when I was telling my mates that I was doing this this recording, and they were like, "Is that fella that's still over he's still over in Cyprus?" They all, like, everyone still thinks you're over there.
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm in Greece.
Yeah. So, I mean, you went into Apoel Nicosia, which obviously, as League of Ireland fans ourselves, we'd know it from Jack Byrne going over there in the last few years. What's the Cypriot league like? Is it like is it a high standard? Is it average, or
It's got the top 5 or 6 teams. It's got, so it'll have maybe 2-3 teams challenging for the league, and then there'll be a top 5 or 6 teams that would be good teams. Like all of them could qualify for Europe if they had qualifiers to get into Europa League. They'd all kind of be expecting to do well in them. And I think it's just because they can pay more money, and when they can pay more money, they can get better players.
Yeah, of course.
They don't have. There's not a big. There's no there is a cap on the amount of foreign players, but it's, I don't know. You might be allowed to have like 15 or 20 foreign players, so it's.
Yes, it's not like the States where it's you have 3 or 4. Like
no.
yeah.
They can have whoever they want.
Yeah.
And then after like, it's kind of split. The top half is good, and then the bottom half would be a much lower standard.
Yeah.
So like there'd be games where if you don't win against the bottom half, it would be seen as a bad result.
Yeah. And then so that was your time at Apoel. Like, you probably your most successful in terms of accolades. I mean, you won two doubles. You won the league and the cup in both years. Wasn't your most prolific couple of years, 16 and 75, but it was still, I mean, you've never been a goal scoring striker. Like, and I can resonate with that, from, in my Sunday league team, I'm a target man who doesn't get many goals, but it's still vital to have that player in there. Like, and it's,
yeah,
for me personally, I grew up with, when I was watching Ireland, it would have been Niall Quinn who I would have been watching, kind of thing. And then you know, that's never got many goals, but he was always causing trouble and being a nuisance. And that's kind of that must have been your role with that Applewell team, was it?
I think they would have probably liked me to have scored more goals, but yeah, it took me a while to get going there. For the first 6 months didn't go too well. It took me ages to score my first goal, and then kind of once I had that, I settled down within the team.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't until afterwards when I left I was kind of like, oh, I didn't really score many goals there. And then obviously going to, like you're saying, like I had all the accolades, or not accolades, but the success there.
Yeah.
Like in terms of being in a team environment, it was my most successful and probably most enjoyable, because won leagues, won the cups, and then qualifying for Europe. You had those experiences as well. So overall that was definitely my most successful time.
Yeah, and that was.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
In the Champions League, sorry, with Applewell, am I right saying you would have been the team that got the group stages?
Say again?
Did you just get group stages Champions League with Applewell? Or
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, who was in the group?
It was Barcelona, PSG, and Ajax.
That's unbelievable.
I remember at the time when we got the draw, I was like, oh, that's like the best. That's like one of the best draws you can get in terms of playing the best teams, and then you get Messi and all that, Neymar. But kind of afterwards, then you're kind of thinking, oh, would it be nice? It still would have been nice to like win a few games.
Yeah,
no points in that group actually.
We drew with Ajax at home.
That was a quality result, like.
We drew with Ajax at home, and we should have beat them. And I missed a sitter of a header that still haunts me.
Now, can I just actually ask you, sorry, just from my own point of view, what is that actually like, walking out there and having the Champions League music playing when you're there in the new camp and you're standing there with the Champions League music going off, Lionel Messi's queuing down the line, like?
It's more so in the tunnel when like you see them in the tunnel, then you're kind of like, oh, like cool, like Messi, Neymar, PK. But then when you go and start the game, you're not really thinking about any of that. It's just you're just thinking about it, like what you need to do to win or to get a result or to play good.
Yeah, because they won it that year, didn't they? Actually, in 2015. Yeah, so I mean, look, that's a tough draw.
And then after the game, you can kind of look back and enjoy it. But that before that, I remember kind of like saying to myself to make sure to take it all in and to remember as much of it as I could, because when I had it at Celtic, I didn't really acknowledge it at the time, because I was like, well, this is Celtic. This is normal for Celtic. So it's kind of like, once you're playing for Celtic, you're going to be playing Champions League. So it was kind of like the normal thing. And then kind of took it for granted so early on. So then that's how I knew the second, when I was with Applewell, to kind of cherish it a bit more and kind of realize what it was.
Yeah, and then you moved across Nicosia then after that to Ammonia. That was your most prolific period in your career. You know, you were banging them in 29 and 72 in all competitions. Your first year, 19 goals, which was your best return in your career.
Yeah.
Well, like, was that kind of frowned upon moving across Nicosia, or is it because Cyprus is such a small country, those moves happen all the time?
Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't say it happens all the time, but with me, it was a bit different because my contract at Applewell had finished and they didn't offer me a new one. So it was kind of like they let me go and then I was free, and then I joined Ammonia, instead of it being like I left. It wasn't like I left Applewell to join Ammonia. Applewell let me go and then I was a free agent. I was talking to other clubs, and then I was like, okay, Ammonia, liked what they said to me, so I'm going to go there. And I had a good relationship with Apoel fans, so I never really had never had any bother or anything, or like when we played them, there was nothing out of the ordinary that I wouldn't have got if I was just any other player.
Yeah, of course. And what are the derbies like over there? Like, obviously, myself and Jack, I'm a Drogheda fan, and he's a Dundalk fan, so we have that bit of a rivalry there, and we can see the atmosphere at derby games and things like that. And obviously, there's the Bows and Rovers and things like that over here. And like, is there a difference in the derbies over there that you would have seen at like the Old Firm or in Sofia or anything like that?
Yeah, it would definitely be it's the Old Firm. We can't really compare any other derbies to that one. The one between Apoel and Ammonia is how would I describe it? The fans there are mental anyway. So, the atmosphere for those was unreal, and because most games you're playing at nighttime as well, and they love like flares and fireworks and all that. So they'll have like fans will climb the big nets behind the goal.
Yeah.
And they'll climb up those, like put the flags up and stuff, and they'll burn flags. They'll be throwing fireworks at each other. They'll have all the flares. But I wouldn't say you get used to it, but it was an unreal atmosphere. So in those derby games.
And just on that, you mentioned the flares. So this is something that we've had debates on here a few times now. From a player's point of view, because obviously we're fans, I personally love seeing flares and things like that. I think it's great. It really does create a buzz around the place. From a player's point of view, what's that like when you're walking out there and you see this, like, pretty much just a big blaze of fire in the stands? Like, does it help you? Does it like spur you on to go and improve, or to put in more effort? Or
I don't know if it makes, like, if you're an opposing player, I don't think it makes a big difference. I don't know. It just adds to the atmosphere. Just makes the atmosphere better, I think.
Yeah. So
I don't mind them. I don't mind when, like, they go onto the pitch and then you have to wait for it all to clear. It's a few minutes. Like, it's not the end of the world. And then, like, players complain about it, but then we'll go and waste time in the corner for 5 minutes. So
yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's for, like, I went on a bit of a rant a few weeks ago when we were recording about, how flares are essential to the atmosphere for fans. Like, and I mean, for me personally, I think they're great. I think they do, as you say, it adds to the atmosphere. It kind of gives people a bit more of a lift and things like that. But I think, again, from a player's point of view, obviously that's the most important thing. Like,
yeah.
would you ever see
I've also had the other side of it, where with Apoel we played my first season. It was between us and IL Limassol for the league, and it went down to the last game. They were a point ahead. They were a point ahead, I think, and we played them away last game of the season. So all they had to do was not get beat. And it was 0-0 at about 60, 65 minutes. And then it was in their stadium, and one of their fans has fired a flare. And it's went on to this is the other thing, they'd use flares to fire flares as opposed to lighting them. So they'll use them as show and have it up, like, looking good, but they'll also use it to throw at people, which obviously isn't great.
Yeah, that's.
But one of their fans has fired a flare through because there was a running track around the pitch, so the bench was one of those portable plastic bits,
Okay.
and the flares went through the back of one of those and caught one of our players on the bench. So he's had to go off in an ambulance. And the match was abandoned. So we ended up
Oh.
winning. We ended up being awarded a 3-0 win and won the league.
Jesus, that's one way to win the league, I suppose, on the last day, isn't it? Like that. I mean, I'm sure your man, whoever did it.
I think technically that's how it goes down, how we won the league. But before they awarded that, it was mad. Before they awarded that, there was all the talk like, will the game be replayed? Will it be awarded to us? No one knew. And then they prolonged the league. They added on another game. So they made us replay the game in a neutral stadium. And we won 1-0 and I scored the goal. So like for about a week, I had scored the winning goal to win the league. So the fans loved me. But,
Yeah.
But technically then, like a week later, it was in court and it was awarded as a 3-0 victory. So
We'll give it to you. We'll give you the winning goal. Like that's some story to have, to be fair, like to score the goal that won the league. I mean, that's
in Cyprus, that's how I'm remembered. But I think if you were to look back over like in match reports or whatever results, it'll go down as a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's your goal. That's you got it. That's what we'll say. That's what we'll tell people. So, I mean, your time in Cyprus ended in 2017. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the Polish team that you went to. Jagiellonia, whatever that word is. I don't know. Like you went into Poland. Poland's obviously well known for their mad fans. Was that you like looking at the pattern of your career? You never went the easy route. You've always gone for clubs where you're going to have to learn a language. You know, you're going to find it difficult to kind of be integrated by the fans, because in these countries they tend to go for the more, local kind of players. So
yeah.
What was it like trying to get those fans on side? And can you please tell me how to pronounce that word?
Jagiellonia Bialystok.
Okay, perfect.
See, I'd say the Cypriot fans were more mad than the Polish fans.
Okay.
The Polish fans would have been, Polish police would be a lot more heavy handed than Cypriot police. Or like I think Polish fans would have more fear of the Polish police than Cypriot fans would of the Cypriot police. And I think that's so. I think years ago in Poland they had fan trouble, but now it's so heavily policed. I never saw anything. There was never anything bad.
Yeah. And what atmospheres over there? What would they have been like?
It was. See, Jagiellonia that I joined were pushing to win the league. So like everything was good. The stadium was, for maybe 2 or 3 of the games, it was a full stadium, which was about, I think it's about 18,000. It was a capacity, and it was a different kind of atmosphere because in Poland all the stadiums it was all bigger stadiums, and it was stands, like it was all enclosed, so the atmosphere would stay in it. Whereas in Cyprus, all the stadiums would be quite open because of the weather.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a different kind of atmosphere, and it was more like it was the kind of football atmosphere that you'd be more used to in stadiums, like back at home or in the UK, and it just felt more. It felt more like proper football atmosphere to what I was used to. And then like what you're saying about picking the hard way to go. I never really set out by saying, "Oh, I want to go there in this transfer window," or it was just kind of the opportunities that came up just happened to be clubs that didn't speak English or had difficult languages or were in strange places. I mean, I would have loved to have went to a nice city in like Paris or Madrid or something, but it was just the way offers came about. That it wasn't really something where I was going and saying I want to go there. That's it.
Just a quick
Yeah.
question there, actually, about the Poland strike. Dundalk were playing last year. Probably, what, we do go over 2016-17 season, would have been over to Poland.
No,
Following was it 17-18?
because didn't Legia beat Dundalk to go into the
Yeah,
Champions
they
League?
bet us in the playoffs, and I just remember there was actually war. I think there was trouble. I think Dortmund
With
away,
Dortmund, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask though about just the standard and quality maybe between the Cypriot Premier League and then the Polish Premier Division. Like, was there too much in between?
It was just completely different style of play. In Poland, it was a bit more like UK style, Scotland's way of playing.
Yeah.
Whereas Cyprus, it was a lot slower pace of play, more technical. So like when I was in Cyprus, I always felt like I was quite fit. Like I always felt near the end of games I felt as good as I did at the start. And then when I went to Poland, because I moved in February, like during the season, I didn't miss out on any fitness, or like I didn't have any time off.
Yeah,
And it took me like it took me 2 or 3 games before I could finish in 90 minutes. I was getting like to 70 minutes and 75 minutes and cramping up, just because it's a lot more physical than Cyprus.
Would it be right in saying though the Cypriot league would be more like, I remember we were playing Larnaca a few years ago. They had loads of like former like Spanish internationals, more like players coming to the end of the career going over.
Yeah, Larnaca especially.
Yeah,
they've a lot of Spanish players, and there'd be a lot of Portuguese, Spanish, Brazilians. I'd say that would be the majority of the foreign players there.
Yeah. Go on ahead, Bill. Work away.
Yeah, I was looking at the league season there when you're at Jagiellonia. 2016-2017, lost league by 2 points, Legia Warsaw. 2017-2018, again, second in league pass now, lost by a point. And then 2018-2019, you fell off a bit, you came 6th, 13 points off the drift. So like, to be so close to winning the league in 2 successive years.
Well, the third season was because I wasn't there. That's why they fell off. No, I left in January.
Yeah, no, you left half. Yeah, in January. Yeah.
Yeah.
That explains
the first season we lost on the last day of the season. It was more annoying because we could have won it, because we drew our last game 2-2 at home to Lech Poznan. And if we had won that game, we would have won the league. So that was far more disappointing than the second season, because the second season we won our last game, but we knew it wasn't in our hands. We knew like if Legia won, or maybe if they drew, they still would have won the league. Whereas the first season, it was in our hands to go and win the league. And so that was definitely way more disappointing than the second one.
And then they fell off because you left.
Well, that's just fact.
You can say it.
I didn't do too much better, so
yeah. So you moved on to probably the most Irish move you've done in your entire career, which was the Wellington Phoenix in the A League. They play in New Zealand, obviously, but they're in the A League. That's obviously, the A League is much more known for nearly kind of European teams, pre-season friendlies and things like that. Like from over our side of the world, anyway. Like a move like that, did they come looking for you, or did you decide to move over to Australia, or was it?
I don't really know how I got on their radar, but I got a message from Stephen Taylor, who was over there.
The former Newcastle player?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And I remember being in Poland at the time, and I looked at the message, but I think it might have been at like half 11 or 12 at night. And I was kind of half looking at it, and then I just saw Wellington Phoenix, and I just saw Phoenix, and I was like, oh. I was thinking they're not even in the MLS.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know if I want to go over and play in the is it
USL.
the NSL or USL?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the next day when I've reread it and looked through it and then looked the team up. I was like, oh, okay, this is the A League. Okay, this is different. And then I spoke with the manager. He sold it to me, and I was like, right, yeah, I'll go there, because I had 6 months left of my contract in Poland, and they said I could leave. And then I was kind of just thinking, look, it's better to go over there, down there for 6 months and play, rather than possibly stay here and not play for 6 months and then be struggling in the summertime.
Yeah.
And I probably would have played, if I had stayed, I probably would have played more in Poland than I ended up playing in New Zealand.
Yeah, so you were a bit part player, was it? I mean, you played 17 games, but it wasn't many starts, was the case. Is that what it was down there?
No, I only started 2 games, and one of them was a game that didn't. It was the last league game before it goes into that championship, into like their playoffs, and it was a game that didn't. It was a game that didn't really matter. Like no position was gained or anything.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it was just the 2 strikers at the time just kept scoring, and I just couldn't get into the team. So it wasn't really. It was frustrating in the sense that it was kind of there wasn't really too much I could do. And then so then just kind of had the left there with not really great. Like you're saying there, like if you look at the stats, I've left there with 17 appearances and 1 goal. So if people are looking at that, and when I'm a free agent in the summer, it's not really.
Doesn't look great, yeah.
No.
Yeah, so then it turned to another, what I'll call now as a Cillian Sheridan move. He moved to the Israeli Premier League to play for Ironi Kiryat Shimona. Is that? I'm sure I botched that. So,
Kiryat Shimona.
Yeah. So how did that move come along? Was that another one that you just knew a player that was playing for them, or they just
no? That again, I don't really know. I don't know how my name pops up to these places, but an agent got in touch with me and asked if I'd be interested in Hapoel Tel Aviv.
Okay.
And then kind of almost agreed without spoke to their manager and everything, and I think I had agreed on the money and stuff. And then this other team, Kiryat Shimona, heard that I was talking with them, and then they came in and offered me something better. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go there. That's how that one came about.
Yeah. So what again? I mean, we've asked you about the fans everywhere. Like, what are the Israeli fans like? I mean, that's not really a league that you hear much about.
See, the club I went to was up. It was in a tiny place, Kiryat Shimon. It's like right up in the Golan Heights. It's tiny, and there's very, very low fan attendances. But then when you go and play like the bigger teams, Maccabi Tel Aviv and Maccabi Haifa, there, like you could see in Hapoel Beersheva, they had good crowds. Down there, you'd see like the fanatic fans again, but it was different when it's not your own fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, you were there when obviously the dreaded COVID outbreak happened in 2020.
No, Poland. It was in Poland.
You went to Poland before that, was it? So you moved to Poland in January, was it, when you joined?
Yeah, I went to Poland in January to Wisla Plock.
Okay. You ended up playing 30 games for them, and I mean, it wasn't your most prolific again. It was 3 goals. It was a tough period for you, and then you end up moving back to Scotland, to Dundee. I mean, you're back in Scotland now. Obviously, Dundee were relegated last year. Are you staying for the championship season, or is there anything in the works? Are you? I mean, I know that there was some controversy last year about the fans were unhappy to just stop the fixture hair in the game, and I mean, is that actually true, or was that just tabloid shite?
The worst thing is the only tabloids, the only news outlet that picked it up was an Irish one. That's what's annoyed me about it. Nothing here in Scotland picked up. A few fans weren't happy, obviously, but no, it wasn't in any news here. It was only in Ireland.
For God's sake!
But
Nothing gets past it.
It was a storm in a teacup. Basically, I went up for a. It didn't help that it was 4-0 at the time as well.
Oh, right.
And they brought me on, and I've gone up for a ball. The guys went up for it as well, and he's ripped the hair bobble out. But he's fouled me, so like I've won the free kick, but I can't find the hair bobble, and it was at night time, and I knew like I'm not going to go crawling around the ground looking for it. So I'm shouting over to the bench to go and get my thing in the dressing room that I had like other ones in the dressing room. And then Ian Lawler, who was on the bench, said he handed me over one. He had one on his wrist. So I've just stuck that on and went back out. But Charlie Adam, who was taking the free kick, didn't wait for me to come back on. He's went and hit the free kick into the box while I'm getting it from the dugout. So I mean, he could have waited 10 or 15 seconds for me to get up into the box.
That is one of the most frustrating things in the world.
Yeah, that's what made all the fans go mad, because they're like, why is like our tall striker off fixing his hair while we're putting a ball in the box?
When realistically it should have been let's wait and take the free kick in a second while we wait for a 6'5" striker to get into the box.
But it's all if we were winning and we won the game, it'd be a funny story. But just one of those things. But it's
absolutely.
But I'm so last season injury kind of messed up the season for me. So I'm just now, hopefully the next week or two, start to get back into some squads. And then just get going again, really.
That's great. Bill, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, you've a nice Irish contingent at Dundee. You've yourself, you've Ryan Sweeney, who played for under 21s. You've Niall McGuinn, who's Northern Irish, and you've Ian Lawler. So, is there a group of Irish lads in the stadium, or have you your own cliques like?
Yeah, well, I knew Niall from Celtic. Ian, I know I play golf with him, and Ryan Sweeney. He's now the vice captain this year. So yeah, no, get on. I don't get on any better with them than I do with any of the other lads. It would be different if I was abroad. It'd be different, but the fact I'm there, it's kind of there isn't really a big difference.
Yeah, there's no language barrier there, is there?
No.
I mean, Scottish and Cavan isn't too far off, to be fair. So yeah,
I'd say I've pretty much lost my Cavan accent.
Yeah, it's fairly.
No.
So yeah, like look, that's your career, like, and just I mean, how like some great stories there. Like, look, it's incredible to think like you've gone through so many great memories and things like that. So much success, and obviously the highlights would probably be the Ireland game against Argentina and the double with Apoel. I'm just wondering, like, what would be the best atmosphere you've ever seen in your career?
Do you know where surprisingly was? I don't know if I'd say it's the best one, because it's hard to beat Celtic Champions League nights.
Yeah.
PSG away was unreal.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
And then what would have been the one that let you down? Like it was hyped up, everyone was saying, "Oh, this is the best," and you arrive there and it's just, it's not great. Like
Fucking RDS.
well, it's a rugby stadium, isn't it? It's not made for us football hooligans. Like
The horse show was on.
for God's sake.
No, I don't really. Can't remember any letdowns really. Fenerbahce was a really, really good one away.
Yeah. They're meant to be mad over there, aren't they?
Yeah, they were like they were in the stadium about an hour before the game, and they'd stay about an hour after the game.
Wow.
The whole stadium was mad.
I have a mad enough question, right? Sorry, I just have something in my head there. I know you played a lot of clubs, right? And you probably played a lot of initiation songs. What was your favorite one?
My best one would be, I'd say with the Ireland team, and I still think that it's what got me my caps. I had to do. We're sitting down, and I think I was the last one to go up, and like we're sitting down at the table, and I'm thinking, oh, what can I do? What can I do? And some of the lads were like saying, oh, you should go up, and Darren O'Dea was like saying, oh, just go up and make up something, like just as if you're making up a rap or something. And then so I didn't tell them what I was going. I thought of something, and then I didn't tell them. So I've got up and I've done Eiffel 65 Blue.
Oh, brilliant!
And then when it came to the chorus, I've gone, and he got nobody to listen. Then I think I've done a little DJ scratch, and I've went remix. I'm new, da ba dee da ba da. And I'm convinced that Trapattoni gave me my caps based off that performance.
Oh, fantastic! That's the most Trapattoni thing I've ever heard. So like again, like who was the best manager? Like what kind of relationship? Obviously, you don't outside Dundee because you're loyal to Dundee and you're not gonna, badmouth the manager or not pick him. But who is the best manager you've ever worked under? Like who was the one that really you felt got the best out of you?
Possibly the one when I first moved to Poland, to Jagiellonia. There was a Polish manager, Michał Probierz, and I'd say that would maybe be the best I've played. I'd have to say him in terms of getting the best out of me. I'd say it was him.
Yeah, fantastic. And is there any plans to come back to Ireland and finish your career in the league?
No plans not to.
Yeah. Okay. So
like,
it's a possibility.
And yeah, it was never plans to go to Bulgaria or Cyprus, Israel. So yeah, no, I'm not one to rule anything out.
Absolutely. I mean, look, there's obviously the talk of a third division, and I think there's talk of Cavan Monaghan being a team in there. So I mean, that could be your homecoming if ever there was one. I mean, the darling of Cavan.
Cavan and Monaghan, really?
They've an underage team together, yeah. So I think they're in the 19s at the moment, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's the. I mean, look, if they decide to go separately or together, I mean, I welcome any amount of teams into the league. It's just great to see more teams coming in, and if we could get a big name like yourself.
Monaghan United used to be.
Yeah, so they went bust. They went bust in 2012. Actually, the night after Ireland played Italy in the Euros.
Okay.
And so then now they just have an underage team with Cavan Monaghan. It's the district league kind of thing. I think they actually still play up in Monaghan.
Okay.
But yeah, so that could be an option for you if you're looking, if you're interested in returning home and giving a big name to the league. That would be, we'd love to see you back here at any time. But is there any plans for the future at all, or are you just happy enough to focus on your time at Dundee now?
At the minute, I haven't really made any plans. No, I don't know. I think I need to soon start thinking about it, unfortunately. But I'll keep playing as long as I can. But
Yeah.
If Cristiano Ronaldo's 37, you're 33. You've at least another 10 years left in you, surely. So
that's what I like to hear. That's what I keep. It's not up to me. It's up to clubs.
Oh, sure. Look, I'll campaign for you to get back into the Ireland squad. We need a striker.
Oh, I think I think that campaigning is done.
You don't think Stephen Kenny's going to give you a call up? No.
You never know. You never know.
Sure, look, you start banging them in the Scottish Championship. You know, it's
score 10 and
always
10
enough.
and you'll be in the next squad. 10
No, I
goals,
think
10 games, you'll be in the squad.
I don't know if you need 10 goals to get into it.
No, look, Cillian, you've been very, very generous. It's been great to have you on. We really, really appreciate it. And look, it's great to see that you're doing well. What a career is all I can say. I mean, that's, you know,
Mr.
just to
Worldwide.
even just to get one cap.
Pitbull.
Exactly.
To get one cap is incredible, but to be in a starting 11 the night when our national stadium opened, I mean, that's some going. So look, congratulations on what's been a fantastic career today. It's not over. We'll keep an eye on things with Dundee. I'm sure it'll be a much more successful season this year than it was last. And look, best of luck, and thanks so much for giving us your time today. And it's great to see.
No, thank you very much, and my pleasure. Enjoyed it. This
Thank you, Cillian.
time flew there.
Thanks, Cillian. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, lads.
Well,